Breaking: Iran just threatened to release names of officials who took bribes to pass the Iran deal, by the conservative Jew for RWNofficial.com. Now, this is truly epic. Although the deep state and the swamp made every effort to avoid it last week, President Trump made his decision to pull out of the Iran deal just a few days before the May 12th deadline, with it effectively unraveling what little is left of Barack Hussein Obama's 8 dark years in office. Evan Rosenfeld texted this. Full text: read Trump's speech withdrawing from the Iran deal on Tuesday. The president said the U.S. will pull out of the agreement and reinstate sanctions on Iran. This came after even the former Secretary of State and all-around traitor to the U.S., John Heinz Kerry, took a secret trip to Iran in order to try to keep the Iranian deal alive. Kerry sat down twice with Iranian Foreign Minister Javad Zarif in recent months to strategize in a bid to save this one-sided deal as part of what was coined as an aggressive yet stealthy mission to put pressure on the Trump administration to keep the deal alive in some form. Kerry's actions immediately sparked criticism and raised claims that such dealings with Iranian and European officials would be in violation of the Logan Act, which prohibits private citizens from negotiating on behalf of the U.S. government without authorization. But since we all know by now that the Democratic Party and its operatives get away with everything, we can be sure he will never be investigated or prosecuted. But now things might really get good. Rahman Ghavami, or whatever, H.J. Ansari, Zarif's senior advisor: if Europeans stop trading with Iran and don't put pressure on U.S., then we will reveal which Western politicians and how much money they had received during the negotiations to make the Iran deal happen. That would be interesting. Hashtag JCPOA. Yep. H.J. Ansari, Zarif's senior advisor, actually confirmed that they will be naming the politicians who took bribe money during the negotiations with Iran if Europeans stop trading with Iran and don't put pressure on the U.S. to come back to the negotiating table. Wouldn't it be great if this does happen and the Iranians give out the names of all the corrupt politicians who sold out our nation for their own political and monetary gain? Let's all hope and pray that that the list is released soon. Once it's released, maybe this nation will wake up and dust off the firing squad. Here is more information on the Logan Act, which we know, and we're not going to go through that. The Logan Act has remained almost unchanged and unused since its passage. The act is short and reads as follows. We basically know he wasn't allowed to do that. So the language of the act appears to encompass almost every communication between a U.S. citizen and a foreign government considered an attempt to influence negotiations between these two countries. Because the language is so broad in scope, legal scholars and judges have suggested that the Logan Act is unconstitutional. Historically, the act has been used more as a threat to those engaged in various political activities than as a weapon for prosecution. In fact, Logan Act violations have been discussed in almost every administration without any serious attempt at enforcement. And to date, there have been no convictions and only one recorded indictment. One example of the act's use as a threat of prosecution involved the Reverend Jesse Jackson in 1984. Jackson took well-politicized trips to Cuba and Nicaragua and returned with several Cuban political prisoners seeking asylum in the United States. President Ronald Reagan stated that Jackson's activities may have violated the law, but Jackson was not pursued beyond a threat. The only Logan Act indictment occurred in 1803. It involved a Kentucky newspaper article that argued for the formation in the western United States of a separate nation allied to France. No prosecution followed. But the thing that I'm saying is that this guy went down. There's a new sheriff in town. He's against all of what Trump stands for and the Republican Party. He does not stand for those views. So he is actually, there's got to be some charge to throw at John Kerry for this, because he went and did his bidding in a foreign country when the president of the United States and the people that elected him wanted this deal to be thrown out. And he went against the president totally. So there's got to be some kind of something to get him for it, because you could dig up a lot of dirt on those characters, believe you me. But again, somebody has to start something to prosecute them. When will that happen? That's a very good question. But the thing is that the Democrats, they play dirty. If had it been a Republican doing this to Obama, oh, you can bet they'd enforce that Logan Act 1, 2, 3 within a heartbeat. They would enforce that Logan Act, and they would prosecute on top of that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.